Hello, everyone. We warmly welcome you all to the Choreo community call on getting started with Choreo. So today's call is specifically tailored for those who are participating in the coding challenge or anyone who wants to participate in the coding challenge. So stay tuned till the rest of the call so that you can participate in the code challenge and see what tips and tricks you can get from this. So for anyone who hasn't heard about the WSO2 Code Challenge, let me just take you through what the challenge is about. So WSO2 is currently running a code challenge, which gives you an opportunity to win a Tesla Cybertruck or $100,000, which is a pretty cool gift, right? So there are 10 additional winners who also have a chance of winning a MacBook Pro as well. So all you have to do is basically build an app on Choreo and deploy it on Choreo. So then you have a basic entry so that you can have a standing chance to win this amazing gift. So to become eligible and have an entry inside the draw, you need to have an app which has a front end and back end. You can develop it using any language, any IDE, you can use GitHub, and you need to deploy this app into production. So this base level criteria, once this base level criteria is met, you will get a single entry into the draw. So you can increase the number of entries into this draw by adding some additional features. So you can basically maximize your chances of winning. So you can use things like connections to integrate backend API to the front end. You can use more components like databases, manual or scheduled jobs, multiple projects, internal and external APIs. You can also use our product Asgardio for application authentication. And you can also use our integration language, Ballerina, to implement your backend logic or APIs. So once you integrate these additional features, each additional feature will give you one additional entry to the draw, giving you a maximum of 8 additional entries into the draw. So make sure you integrate as many features as possible so that you can get extra entries into the draw so that you can maximize your chance of winning. So applications are already open. It was open from the 1st of March. So submissions are already open and submissions will close on the 30th of April. So make sure you tune into the rest of the call where Lahiru will take you through the process of developing your app and building and deploying it on Choreo and use things like databases and connections so that you can increase your chances of winning. Over to you, Lahiru.
Hello everyone, I'm Lahiru D. Silla and I'm a senior software engineer at WSO2 working on Choreo product development. So what is Choreo? Choreo is an internet developer platform that you can design, develop, deploy and govern your cloud native application workloads. It allows developers to focus on the application stuff rather than worrying about the platform. So as a developer, you can spend more time writing code and innovating your product instead of spending hours to deploy and manage your applications. Also, with platform features like API management, CI/CD, service mesh capabilities, you can significantly reduce the go-to-market time of your products. So before going to the demonstration, I will explain some of the core Choreo concepts. So in Choreo, we have these concepts of organizations, projects, and components. So an organization in Choreo is a logical grouping of users and user resources. So when you get signed up to Choreo, you will be asked to create an organization and you will be the owner of that organization. Also, you can invite other people to your organization as well as you can be a part of other people's organizations. Next, inside organizations, we have this concept called projects. So projects typically represent a single cloud native application that may consist of one or more microservices. So for example, in an organization, you can have a HR project or you can have a finance project. Likewise, there can be multiple projects based on the domain. Next, inside the projects, we have components, which are basically microservices inside the project. Components are the basic building blocks of Choreo. So it doesn't have to be a microservice. It can be a scheduled task, a manual trigger, or even a web application. So yeah, let's get started building Choreo. Now for the demonstration, I'm going to start from here. So this is the Cybertruck challenge page that Kavishka showed earlier. So from here, you can sign up to Choreo. Um, I'm going to use the Google login and sign up to Choreo. And I have already created a new email account. So I'm going to use this newly created email account. Um, So initially, you will be asked to create an organization like I mentioned previously. So I'm going to name this organization as Choreo Cybertruck Demo. So you have to click on Agree here and then create the organization. It will take like a couple of minutes to get it created. Yeah. From here, like you have to click on Confirm, and then from here you have to click on this checkbox, and then there's a drop down to select the region. So only the region US is supported for the code challenge. So from here you have to select US and then confirm. Okay, so my organization is successfully created. You can see the organization here. And next, I'm going to create a project inside this organization. So you have to click on this create project button. And then since for this demonstration, I'll be building a hotel reservation system. I'm going to name this project as hotel reservation system. And from here, for the description also, I'll use the same one. And from here, I have the option to select monorepo or multi-repo. So basically, monorepo means all the components are hosted in a single GitHub repository. In case of multi-repo, it means you have multiple GitHub repositories for each of the components. So from here, I'm going to use multi-repo. Okay, so my project is now successfully created. So now from here you can see now you can create components. So in Choreo we support different types of components like services, which are basically microservices, web applications, which are basically front-end web applications that you implement in React, Angular, HTML, and we support API proxies, and there are different other component types like webhooks, schedule tasks, manual tasks, event handlers. For testing, you can use a test runner. So for the demonstration today, um, I'm going to implement this hotel reservation management system on Choreo. So this is a typical web-based application where you have this front-end web application implemented in React.js, and the backend API is implemented in Node.js, and this backend API is talking to a database, which is PostgreSQL for this scenario. So first, I need to create a database. To create a database, you have to go to this organization level, and from here you have to click on this databases, and you have to click on create. And for the demonstration, I'll be using a PostgreSQL database, and you have to provide the service name here. So I'll use hotel reservation DB, so, and click on next. So from here, you have the option to select the cloud provider. Since I'm using a free trial account or the developer account, only DigitalOcean is supported. And for the region, I'm going to use US, and only one service plan is available for this developer account. So I'm going to use that, and you have to click on create. Okay, so now the database is being created. So this will take like 4-5 minutes. So until the database is ready, next I will create the backend service. So to create the backend service, you have to go to the project that we created. So inside the project, I'm going to use the service component type to create the backend API. And in here, you have to provide a name. So I'm going to use hotel reservation API. And for the description, I'm going to use next, you have to connect your GitHub repository. So you have to click on authorize with GitHub. And then you have to select the relevant repository. And for the demonstration, I'll be using the main branch. And from here, you have to select the appropriate build pack type. So since I have implemented this in Node.js, I'm going to use Node.js. And here in the drop down, you have to select the directory. So if you click on this button, you'll see the model. And so this is my directory. So since I have implemented all the service logic in a single repository, the path is, I'm going to use this path. For the language version, since I have used Node.js 18, I'm going to use the same version here. And then I'm going to click on create. So while that is being created, let's go back to the database and see whether it's created. So the database is still being created. So until the database is ready, we can go to the created backend service, and we can build the service. So to build the service, you have to go to the relevant component, and from there you have to go to the build section, and from here you have to click on build latest. So so now the backend service is being built. So in this step, what we do is we copy all the source code, and we containerize your application, and we push the build container to a container registry, so that during the deployment time we can pull from the container registry, and we can run the application in Choreo. So this will also take a couple of minutes. You can see the build progress here from this side pane. So now the component is getting built. So until that is being created, let's go and check the database. Okay, so the database is active now. Now I'm going to connect to this database using a database client, and I'm going to create the database tables required for this demonstration. So I'm going to use this DBWeaver database client, and so this is the database host, and this is the database port. Database name, so the database name is default DB, and for username, I'm going to use this default user, and the password, you can get the password from here. So I'm going to test whether the database is reachable from my database client. Yeah, so I'm connected to the database client. So yeah. Okay, now I'm going to create the tables. For that, I have already created the database schema. Okay. So this is a very basic database schema with 4 tables. Next, I'm going to populate the tables with test data. Okay, so now the database initialization phase is done. Now the database is up and running, and I have created the required tables. Also, I have populated the database with the test data. Now let's go and check the service. Okay, now the service is also successfully built. Now I'm going to deploy this backend service. For that, you have to go to this deploy section. And you have to click on configure and deploy. So here you have the option to provide the environment configuration, and I'm going to provide the database configuration here. So DB host, for the DB host, I'm going to use this value. For DB port, DB user, for DB user, I'm going to use this value. For DB name, I'm going to use this value. And finally, the database password. So I'm going to copy this value and provide it like this. And also I'm going to mark the database password as a secret here. Okay, so the required database configuration is configured here, and I'm going to click on next. So by the way, like these values are the backend service is written in a way that these values are read from the environment variables, and then the database client is getting initialized using these variables. So you have the option to add the file mount, but I'm not going to use any. And in here, like you'll see the endpoint details here. So in Choreo, like when you deploy a component, you have to create this .choreo directory, and you have to provide the endpoints YAML file. So I have used this endpoints YAML file, and now the Choreo has successfully picked up the endpoint, and I can see the configured endpoints here. So now I'm going to click on deploy. So now in this step, the image that in the previous step, we successfully we containerized the application, and we pushed the container to a container registry. So in this step, that image is being pulled by Choreo from the container registry, and that is getting deployed into a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so now you can see the deployment status is active, and I'm going to test whether my service is working as expected in development environment. So I'm going to go to the test console, and from here I'm going to invoke this resource. So for the check-in date, I will use today. For the checkout date, I'm going to use 14, and for the guest capacity, I'm going to use 2. Okay, so my service is successfully deployed. Now these values are returned from the database. So Yeah, so my backend service is working as expected in development environment. Now I'm going to promote this service to the production environment. So you have to click on promote. And in here, like you can define a new configuration for the production environment. But for this demonstration, I'm going to use the same configuration like in development environment. Also, you can provide more environment variables here, like you can override the configuration using environment variables. Also, you have the option to add file mounts. And the endpoint details are shown here. So you have to click on promote. Okay, so now the backend service is being promoted to the production environment. You can see the deployment status here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the test console, and I'm going to test the production. So I'm going to invoke the same endpoint. Okay, so my production environment is also working as expected. Now, now we have successfully created the database, and we populated it with test data, and also we created the backend service, and we deployed the backend service in Choreo. So now, as the next step, I'm going to create the web application. So for that, you have to go to this hotel reservation project, and you have to click on create. And for web application, you have to choose this web application tile here. And I'm going to name it as hotel reservation web app. Also, you have to connect to the GitHub repository. Sorry. You have to choose the correct GitHub repository. And from here, since I have implemented this web application in React, I'm going to choose React. And here you have to choose the project directory. So, and here you have to specify the build command. So you have to specify the correct build command that you have used in the package.json file in your React application. So in my application, I have used build command. So I'm going to use the same command here. And the build path is /build. That is also configured in the package.json in my build command. And also, since I have used Node.js 18, I'm going to use the same version here. Okay, so now you have to click on create. Okay, so the hotel reservation web app is now successfully created. Now, now I'm going to build this web app and deploy it in Choreo. So first I have to build it. So I'm going to go to the build page, and from here I'm going to click on build latest. So now the web application is getting built. So similar to the previous build, in this step, what we do is we containerize the application, and we create a container, and we push that container to a container registry. So while this is getting built, let's go to the connection. So now I have to configure Choreo I have to configure this web application to successfully connect with this hotel reservation API. So in Choreo, we do that using connections. So until this is getting built, I'm going to configure that part. So from here, you have to go to dependencies and then connections. I'm going to create a connection. So now in this web application, I'm going to connect to the backend service that I created. So I'm going to choose the backend service here, and then you have to provide the name. Yeah, so I'm going to create the connection. Okay, so now the web application is configured to communicate with the backend service. Now, like you get this comprehensive document that explains how to use the connection. Since I have implemented this web application in React, I'm going to use this API URL here. Let's go to the web application and see whether it's, yeah. So the web application is successfully built. Now I'm going to deploy the web application. So you have to click on configure and deploy. And in here you have to you have to provide the API URL. So here I'm going to use the one that I just copied. And then click on next. So here you have to provide, since I am going to use Choreo manage authentication, you have to provide this post login path, post logout path, and error path. So these details are based on your implementation. So I'm going to use the path rooms for the post login path, and root for the post logout path, and /error for the error path. So these are basically routes in your web application. Now, since I don't have a user, I'm going to create a user here. And I'm going to copy this user password because I will need this when I'm going to log into my application. And then click on deploy. So now, sorry. So now the application is getting deployed to Choreo. So you can see the deployment status here. And in this environment card, you can see the URL here. So I'm going to click on this URL. So for the initial load, it will take like 2-3 minutes depending on the scenario. But now, yeah, now the web application is ready. So I'm going to use the web application in development environment. So so this is the user that I just created. The username is demo, and the password is I'm going to paste the password that I just copied, and I'm going to sign in. So the important thing here is like my backend code doesn't have any implementation related to the user management. It is managed by Choreo. So now I am successfully logged into the web application. So let's see whether it's working. Okay, so the web application is working as expected. So this web application is communicating with the backend service I implemented in Choreo, and that backend service is communicating with the database. So since I have verified this the whole end-to-end flow in development environment, I'm going to promote this to production. So I'm going to use the development configurations. So since I'm using the development configurations, this API URL is getting auto-populated. And I'm going to click on next. So in this step, I have to create a user because users in Choreo are environment bound. Previously, I created a user in the development environment, and now I'm going to create a user in the production environment. Okay, so I'm going to copy this password and click on promote. Okay, so now the web application is successfully deployed to the production environment, and I'm going to use this web app URL to access it. So it will take a couple of minutes. Now it's ready. Now I'm going to log into the web application using the created user, and I'm going to paste the password that I just copied. Okay, so now I'm logged into the web application, and let's see whether it's working. Now I'm going to place a reservation here. I'm going to provide the required details here. And click on reserve. Okay, so the reservation is successfully placed. So now in this demonstration, I have created the database, and I have deployed the backend API, and then I have configured the backend API to communicate with the database. And then I created the web application, and then I deployed the web application, and I configured the web application to communicate with the backend service using a Choreo connection. So now you can see the whole application is working as expected. Okay. So if you have any questions now, you can raise any questions. Or do we have any questions?
Yes, we have a few questions. One, I think I've answered most of the questions. One specific question we got is when you're creating users for the managed authentication part, one person is asking whether we have just one option to create a user when we are deploying our application.
No, we have the option to integrate the Google authentication, and I think we have a couple of other IDPs. So for that, you have to log into the Ascadio and create an application there, and you have to configure the OAuth application, and then you have to go on from here.
Okay, I hope we answered your question. We have a few. So we have another question saying, is this challenge entry only for the US? Actually, no. I think some of you might be getting confused when you're told to select the region initially. When you're told to select the region, it's not the region where you're participating from. It's actually where your data plane is actually residing or where your apps will be deployed. So you don't have to consider about that. This code challenge is open globally. So anyone can participate from any country. So therefore, this challenge is not only for the US. We have quite a few questions about the database expiring in 7 days. So we just want you to try out the database feature, integrate the database feature and see if by submission your free trial has expired, that is fine, as long as you have used the database functionality correctly and have used it properly for your application. I hope I have answered that question. So we have another question, Lahiru. The login page that we created, does it belong to Choreo or the actual web app?
No, it belongs to Choreo.
So like Lahiru said, it belongs to Choreo. Maybe you can explain that part a little bit more.
Yeah, so the thing is, if you use Choreo managed authentication, all the authentication stuff is handled by Choreo, so you don't have to do anything. You just have to configure the Choreo managed authentication.
So we have another question asking whether we can deploy directly from the integration studio. So what you have to do is you'll have to connect your integration code, connect your repository, and then you can go ahead and deploy your code. We have a question about whether there are sample web services for testing. You can check our Choreo documentation. There are quite a lot of samples for services, web apps, and different stuff. And we have a Choreo sample repo, which is linked in the Choreo docs as well. So you can use any sample services available there, fork the repository, and you can try out any of the samples available there and try out Choreo and see. No, you cannot submit for the competition as teams. It's an individual competition. So you have to submit. It's an individual submission. Therefore, you have to use the developer free tier and submit individually. So if any of so we have one more question, Lahiru. We have one person asking about, can you show that view of creating the user on the screen maybe once again during the web application? Maybe not the creation part, but you can go and view and manage the user, right?
Yeah. So like you don't have to create a web application to create a user. So to create a user, you have to go to this organization, and from here you have to go to settings, and you have to go to application security. And so your integrated identity providers will be listed here. So this is the Choreo built-in identity provider, which I just use for the demo. So in here you have to click on manage, and then like here like you can create users here. You can provide the users in the form of a simple text file.
Okay, I hope we answered your question. We have another question about the app being a web application. Yes, we are expecting a web application. So your front end can be in any React, Angular, any framework like that, and your backend can be in any language of your choice. The submission should be a web application. So do we have any other questions? We'll just give a few more minutes for any other questions if anyone has any.
And the most important thing is, I think I missed the last part. So once you are done with the your application, you have to go to this project view or organization view, and you have to click on submit. And from here you can submit. And once after successful submission, you will see your entry here, and you will see the score breakdown here. So since I have used only three of the features, I have used web apps and connections and databases. So you can see the status of your submission here.
So maybe you can show the observability view also. So for anyone who wants to view analytics related to your application about the usability, you want to debug and all of those stuff, you can view those things available as well. So I'm just going to give it to Lahiru to show us and take us through the observability view.
So in the observability view, you have metrics and runtime logs. In the runtime logs, you can see, so these are the logs of the web application and the backend service that I just created. From here, you can filter based on the component type as well. And you have a few more options to filter based on environment, time range, and the type of the logs you are expecting. So
yes, and we can host static pages on Choreo as well. That is available, that feature is available as well. Jason, I'm not really sure, Barry, what you're meaning. You are requesting to explain about these two. I'm not really sure what two you are referring to. If you could be a bit more clear. So any other questions related to the code challenge, or if you are running into any sort of issues related to Choreo, if you all are having any problems, if you all need any clarification, if you all need any assistance, you all can always reach out to us through our Discord channel. All our links are available in the description as well. You can go ahead and join the WSO2 Discord server, and you can ask any questions. There is a specific thread which is specific for the WSO2 Code Challenge, or we have the Help Choreo channel where you can reach out with any sort of questions, and our team will answer any of your questions and help you and assist you in any way possible. So I hope this session was informative for everyone, and you all were able to understand and easily follow the demo that we displayed. So from the demo, if you follow the demo and basically follow the steps of the demo, you have basically passed the base level eligibility criteria, and you will get an entry into the draw once you submit. So the interesting part of it is trying to integrate and experimenting more with the different features available in Choreo, right? Try to integrate more features, try to use Asgardio, try to use Ballerina, so that you can get more knowledge and experience Choreo and Asgardio and Ballerina as well. When you integrate more features, you are able to get extra entries into the draw. So you have a chance of getting a maximum of 8 entries into the draw. So once you submit your code challenge, your organization into the code challenge, you will see how many of the eligibility criteria you have satisfied with the green ticks. The green ticks will show that you have satisfied certain conditions. The red crosses will show that you haven't. So you have the chance to resubmit till the 30th of April. So make sure to keep trying and try to add all the features as much as possible to maximize your chances of winning. So the question regarding that Jason wants clarification about is to maximize the chance of winning. You have instructed to use Asgardio for authentication and implement back. So you can use so to get an extra point on the Asgardio point, you need to use Asgardio for application authentication, and you have to use Ballerina to implement your backend logic APIs. So that's up to you. That's optional. If you want to get that extra point, you can implement your backend using Ballerina, which is an amazing integration language that is developed by WSO2. So you can try out Ballerina and develop your backend API using Ballerina, and you can use Asgardio for your app authentication. So we have another question about the score breakdown with multiple projects. So if you have used multiple projects, so what Lahiru demonstrated today was using multiple components in a single project. So you have the opportunity to have another project or multiple projects. If you have used more than one project, you will get that extra point of utilizing the multiple projects feature. So if you use multiple projects, it has to make sense to the application that you have developed and that you are hosting, and the different components that you are deploying on Choreo. So once you have used more than one project, you can satisfy that requirement of the multiple projects and get that additional point. So I hope we have answered all the questions. So as I mentioned before, any additional questions, you can direct through Discord. So we have one more question. So if we develop the web application by adding innovative features, will they be compared to other projects or will? So, so as you understand this WSO2 Code Challenge, the winner will be selected through a draw. So even if you once you add additional features, the number of entries to your draw will increase. So which by maximizes your chance of winning. So one entry in a draw is better than having 8 entries in a draw is better than having one single entry in a draw, right? So with 8 additional features, your name will be entered 8 times in the draw, which will increase your chances of winning, gives you a higher probability. So therefore, make sure that you integrate all the features, and the final winner will be selected in the phase of a draw. So I think we answered all the questions. Any additional questions, please reach to us through Discord. We have recorded this session, and this session will be available for your future references as well. So thank you very much for joining this session, and we hope it was very informative for you, and we hope all of you submit for the code challenge. Submissions close on the 30th of April, and you can resubmit till then. Thank you very much for joining.